Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Wednesday. It's April 3rd. This will be our chart lesson for today. And as usual, we'll start off with a quick look at our daily chart. You can see we had an inside day today, kind of a neutral kind of bar. We closed up slightly from yesterday. We closed up from the open slightly as well. Nothing to write home about as far as a rally, but for the most part, we rallied hard early. Had a big rally during the overnight this morning, and then sold it all off this afternoon. Started back where we begin, and then, as usual, as you get into the late hours when the volume gets thin, they pushed it back up a little bit. So um, that's pretty much how I saw it, and that's pretty much how the bar looks here. But let's flip over to the 2,000 tick chart. You can see what I'm talking about and get a look at the way I saw it, and we'll go from there. Okay, here it is. You can see we were in this early range, and we had a little failed break lower just before the open during the overnight session, and we rallied from there. And it really spiked up here on this news. This would have been the 9 o'clock PMI news. Evidently, the market saw something it liked there, but it could not hold that. Once we moved to measured move, we actually moved slightly more than a measured move. You can see here. The measured move would have been this dash line. So we did move slightly further than that. Let's just see what would happen if you brought this all the way down to the lows. If you bring it all the way down to the lows, then it's not much of an overshoot. And that's probably more accurate right there. This even looks pretty good right here still too. But usually I'll put the line wherever the most touches were, and it was along here. But technically this is the overnight, the lowest close of the overnight. And the lowest point, open or close on the upper side, is up here. And when you put your lines there, you can see that's pretty much a measured move is what we had. And then we sold off from there, came all the way back almost to scratch. And of course, as you see, as we get over in the gray, they start rallying it up. And that's when the volume starts to get low. Most of your traders are done by then. There's still people trading, but the volume's much thinner this time of day than it is out here in the rest of the day. So yeah, it's just a big range day is what we ended up having. And we closed just above the close from yesterday. So you can see the line here yesterday, and we closed up here today. It's about 405, so the market is closed. And so yeah, we opened down here. We filled that gap relatively quickly, and then made a measured move up. So, and this is a big spiking channel here. Early on, I had a smaller one, but as it continued to form, you can see there's a bigger channel here. And somebody sent me their chart like 10:30 or 11 once we had this point come back here, and asked me if their chart was right with this channel on there. And of course, I told them it was right, but I didn't have it on there earlier because we didn't have that price action. So we didn't know if we were going to be, I think it was about 9:30, so we're just kind of chopping along here trying to push higher, I think, when I posted the chart. And so we didn't have all of this quite on here yet. But yeah, just because you find something after I send the chart out doesn't mean it's not there. So yeah, that was a nice read on that trader who saw that bigger blue channel there, because that is correct. But let's zoom in here. We'll go through the trades. You had to kind of be patient this morning. We had the news at 7:15, so you really couldn't trade until after really almost 7:30. And then notice, now that I move that down, I'm going to draw this line across here. But we got a clear triple test here. 1, 2, 3. Nice bullish bar. It's still a long way from the EMA. It's a little large for, it's maybe 14 ticks, but maybe we were still getting a little off this news here. But I still like the trade if you want to take it, if it's not too risky for you, because it's 14 ticks. Take that trade. You can see it was a quick, easy trade. And then you have a triple test at the top with another nice signal bar. This actually broke higher and turned down. You can't trade that on the engulfing bar. You got to wait for this to close. Uh, One tick below that, you still got plenty of room back to the lows. It actually goes and makes another newer low. So 2 quick triple tests. Both were easy winners. And if you take those, maybe you're done before the regular market even opens up, before 8:30 even gets here. So, but we make a little failed break lower out of those original lows, and we push up and make a higher low here, and it does close above the EMA. I like going long. You're entering this hoping that maybe this failed breakout will lead to a reversal, but at the minimum, you're looking for a measured move, and you can see we pretty much got that and backed off before we went a little bit higher and then just continued sideways. So, but that's your expectation there when that takes off, that we're going to get a second leg up similar to the first one. And you can see we got real close within a tick or so there. Then you kind of correct sideways back to the trend line and it takes off again. There's a second entry long here, but not a very good setup, so you can't really take it. And then we're just chopping along, but notice you got a 1, 2, 3 triple test. Nice signal bar, plenty of room up here to the high, so take that trade. You get a couple more shorts here, but you just don't have room to get out. And you see, you don't want to get trapped in that going into the news, especially. And then you get a little failed break lower, and it just rockets up. Again, this is all during the news. And about in here, right along in here, you could say, okay, we've kind of got back on track here. There's a hidden second entry here, but I just don't, and it does conform to the spike in the smaller spike in channel. So it's tempting, but we're just so far away from the EMA, I'd wait. And you see it's not long that we come rocketing back again. This actually breaks lower and turns up and goes higher here. That's tempting, but it's so close to that EMA, and we don't have a new low on this channel yet. So a break of that is really, really tempting. You definitely can't enter on the engulfing bar. If this would have closed above the EMA, I'd probably say go long there, but it doesn't. And so I think you just have to sit that one out. And it does run up and make a new high on this gray channel. And we don't know that for sure if the blue one's here yet. So you just have to, you're just playing your shorter term patterns. And you do have to tell yourself, okay, we got a break and new high in place for this spike in channel. Now again, there might be a bigger channel, but we don't have that information yet. And you see we're just chopping along, and I don't really see anything in there. This short is tempting. But we're in an uptrend here, so I would sit tight and just wait and see what happens. And you can see it just looks real congested here. And then finally you get another big bar, but again, you would have got burns. That's why you just have to sit tight. The bias is up, the trend is up. Yeah, we could be reversing here, but you need a really good setup, and this is just too congested and sideways. And then it comes back and confirms the trend line right here. This is the third touch, not a good signal bar. There is a failure here, but it's also a breakout pullback. But I'm not crazy about it. I think you got to wait for something better than that. You just never get anything better all the way up until finally you get a close outside. And you do move to a new high. It's only by a tick or so. And there's a triple test right here. I didn't mark this. You could argue for it to be green. I think originally I made it green, and I talked myself out of it because it's definitely aggressive because it is congested across there. And it could break lower and fail on you and turn back up. But the fact that we got a break here and a new high, and we try to go higher 3 more times, you'll probably get a scalp out of that at a minimum. But I was hesitant to mark it. But we'll mark it green, and you can see if you took it, boom, it's a nice move. And you get this big move down, and then we're just chopping sideways again. I don't see anything in there you can trade. There was this Fed chair news at 11:30, and you can see all of this triggered actually before 11:30. So you can see that craziness right in there. I don't know what but actually this was 11:10. I'm sorry, and so I guess that was for the news. But I don't know what he could have said at the opening of a thing. I just think people notice that it's a red news, and people, there are people that trade the news. I think it's a dumb idea. I would never do it, and I don't recommend anybody else. But there are people that trade the news, and that could be what this is, just people that are trading the news, because there's no reason. I mean, unless he came straight out and said something on the first few sentences that we're going to raise rates, or we're not going to raise rates, or we're looking at this or that, that's something that catches the market off guard, then there's not. I just don't know how he could say. Usually these speakers have no effect on the market. And I usually don't mark them off, and I usually don't sit out. If I see a good trade right into that news, I'm gonna take it. So, but maybe it did affect something here. Maybe he said something. I don't know. I find it hard to believe, but I just think there's some people that trade the news, so you still get a little jolt there at news time. But this one runs up, you get a break, new high, and that's a second entry short right there. I don't know. There's a good bit of bar at the end. This actually broke higher and failed and turned down. And when it goes out the other side, you usually want to go with it when you're that far away from the EMA, especially with the failed break out of this channel and the channel or out of this range, and then the channel working up with the break and new high. When this broke higher and turned down, when it went out the other side, just go with it if you like that trade. I marked it green because you're better to wait on a lower high there. But it's clearly a second entry back up near the highs again and way away from the EMA. And when it breaks higher, I'm guarantee it probably traps some people. And look at the bottom file out of it. Boom, runs down. Get a close outside. It attempts to make a new low and can't. And really, you get a triple test across there with this bar. It's just too big. I'm not even going to mark it green. I mean, that bar's 19 ticks, and there's not much room left to the EMA. It would have worked, didn't matter either way, but we don't know that before the fact. On a setup like that, it could go either way, so we just skip it. This is all too sideways and congested. Same thing here, just too congested. We are kind of working up too, even though this is mostly sideways. We're working up, and you get a break and a couple legs up to a new high, and they make one more push and it turns down. If the trend line wasn't still holding here, that would be tempting. But I think you got to wait on something better than that. There's a lower high here, but too far. There, you could call this a failure. So a break below it would be a failure, and it's kind of where you're looking for a reversal. Again, I didn't mark it. We're still in this channel, but you can't always pay, sometimes the channel doesn't matter. But it's a good rule of thumb to draw it and to respect it and to watch it play out first. But you could probably still argue for that to be green. And again, failures are advanced trades. They're not for most new traders. They're not, well, in fact, they're not for any new traders. You need to be, and when I say experienced, I mean you need to have been trading for a while and you're consistently profitable. If you're not, don't mess with failures and reversals. But anyway, we head down here. And then suddenly the bottom just falls out and you get this nice trend all the way down. Unfortunately, there's no real good setup to get into it. You just have to kind of watch it go without you. And that's what good traders do. Then, of course, we run up. We get a first entry. We run up. You get a close outside new high. And when that bar turns down right there, again, this is an engulfing bar. I'm assuming it broke lower first, turned up, and then came back down. So if you entered here and you put your stop one tick above it like you're supposed to, and it turns out to be an engulfing bar, we had this conversation the other day. I'll say it again, especially this late, you probably shouldn't trade it like this. But generally, all this is a stop run, and you're probably a little early. And so how can you avoid getting stopped out? Well, instead of, if it looks like it's going to be an engulfing bar, after you've already entered, take your stop and move it to the previous high. Now, it looks like that would be up here, but there's a little 2-bar matching high right here, and that's a little more reasonable. It's still a pretty big move. Usually it's only a few ticks or maybe a point or two. In this case, you would have to take on almost 5 points of risk. So I don't know if you'd want to do that. You might want to just take the hit if you entered that on the engulfing bar. But the way you'd play it was to move your stop up here and wait for this bar to close. Odds are that bar is not going to run 5 points. Even if it runs a point or 2 points, as soon as it closes, move your stop one tick above it. And if you get stopped out, then you read it wrong. But generally what will happen is you'll find out it's just a stop run, and then it runs back right where you thought it was going to go, and all they did was trick you. They stopped you out of your trade, only to watch it go exactly where you thought it was going to go. So, but now if this bar did not trade as engulfing bar and it broke higher first and then came back down, I'd pretty much wait for this to close. Go short one tick below the big bar, because that's technically going to end up being your signal bar. But again, we had a big conversation about these engulfing bars, and that's an advanced trade to move your stop like that. You need to know what you're doing. You need to be a good chart reader, but you'll see this happen over and over on these engulfing bars. And most of the time, prices will go exactly where you think they are if you're a good chart reader. But if you're not a good chart reader, don't be doing that. If you're not, again, if you're not consistently profitable every day, this is not a trade you should probably take. But if you're not profitable every day, you should be on the simulator. And if you're on the simulator, you should be taking every trade. So you should take it just to get the experience and the practice and to try to learn it. So I hope that all makes sense. I didn't mean to get on that conversation again, but there it is again. So let's clarify it, that it's not for everybody. It's not for newbies unless you're learning. If you're learning, you should be taking, if you're on the simulator practicing and getting screen time, you should take every trade you see that fits our criteria. And if you want to practice on some of these engulfing bars, do it. That's where you practice and learn, not trading live. So this ends up just getting choppy, so there's nothing else in here you can enter. Then we get a little failed break lower. Here we are again. It breaks lower, turns up. Here I don't think I would go long after this one closes. This one I like on the engulfing part because it's a nice, it has some body to it. It's not just like a little doji or whatever. And it broke lower and turned up. So I like, and we're probably heading back at least to test the breakout in the EMA. As long as you got room there, I like going long on the engulfing bar. And this one shouldn't have fooled you because it broke lower first. So there's no worry. I mean, there's no short there, so there's no reason to get short and then think you got tricked out right there. So this is a little different. This is a reversal, and I like going long right there because most breakouts fail. We're probably going to come back and test the breakout area, maybe even the EMA, and you can see we did both here, and it turned down again, only to turn higher in a couple of bars later after 230. So I like this one, but only on the engulfing bar. I don't think I would go long right here. So there it is. Not the best day, but there's some trades in here. I mean, you can see we had a stretch here where you just had to kind of sit tight. I mean, there's some greens in here, but not even many of those. So really from about 9 o'clock till almost 2 o'clock, there's not much going on other than some, it's just kind of choppy and mixed, and that's hard trading, especially when the support resistance is not consistent, which it is not here. So this trading this upper half was pretty tough other than getting short up here. And it was a little dicey in the beginning because we're in such a big uptrend that it could push on. So anyway, that's how I saw it today. I'm not going to beat around the bush. We've had a couple of long chart lessons lately, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow and do our Thursday lesson. Believe it or not, tomorrow's already Thursday. I don't know where the time goes, but the week seems like we just got back from the holiday. And it's already, the Wednesday's already gone and in the books, and tomorrow will be Thursday. So time just flies by. There's never enough time in the day for me lately to do everything I need to do. So I'm sure I'm not the only one that has that problem, but that's better than alternative, having more time than you know what to do with. So I feel blessed to be this busy, and hope all you do as well. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Matt with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.